Rack and roll, Shadows of Centris. Reggie just sits as he contemplates what had happened. It had been good. It had been really, really good. He was sore, he was still tired, and he wondered. It was good. It was very, very good, but the click of a device causes him to turn. One of Shireen's bodies has been extended into the room and had taken a picture of him. Sorry, it's just you've got a system-class look of awe on you. That's an ego booster, she says as another of her bodies slithers out of the next room and gives him a hug. Still need to get used to the idea that you're lovable. I get it. It's not that it's, I don't know what to call it, Reggie says, and the camera holding Shireen hugs him as well, even as all the rest snake in to hold him. Say what you will about how alien Elitis is. They're good at cuddling, probably due to the fact that they quickly organize themselves and work together. Oh? Is another round starting, or are we just basking in each other? Misty asks, and Reggie glances over to see the woman sauntering in wearing only lingerie. Hubby needs cuddles. He's still conflicted, Shireen says, and two of her main bodies move away to give Misty room to hug him as well. Conflicted you may be, Reginald, we are not. You want us with you? We're with you, Misty remarks before giggling. But you don't even know me. We've got time. You're young again. I can become young whenever I want, and Shireen's plenty young. I want you. She wants you. You showed us how much you wanted us last night. That's all the big things taken care of. The details can be taken one at a time. You make it sound more like an engineering problem than a relationship. Aren't those supposed to be stickier and more challenging? Reggie asks. You consider starship and weapon maintenance easier than relationships? That's adorable, Shireen gushes. There's a bit of a thump and Reggie turns to look. Sorry, my tail thrashes around when I get excited sometimes. There's a lot of reasons Lidis keep their main bodies well away from everyone else. Did you break anything? Misty asks, and one of the Shireen bodies zips back into the next room where the main body is. Knocked over a lamp. It's not broken, though, not even scuffed. The body holding Reggie from his left reports. That's all right, then. Now, who's doing what today? Misty asks. I've got to go into the office. We're trying to upgrade the graphics engine from last generation, but there are a few issues that refuse to go away. I've been hammering at them for a week straight without much progress, Shireen admits. Oh dear, and I have to get to the boutique, otherwise I may start to take a hit to the reputation for reliability. Well, okay, Reggie begins. Well, I could take Reggie with me. No doubt the office would love to have him around, Shireen remarks. We may have to. The boutique is expecting quite the influx today, and there's little room for distraction, Misty says. Actually, oh, I didn't think of that. A man in perpetual season in the office? Nothing would get done. Shireen realizes as her mind goes through the entire office being held up with her trying to keep everyone off her man and the rest trying to pile on. She may be 6-1, but she'd still easily be outnumbered in a hurry. Ladies, Reggie says a bit more loudly than he'd have liked. I also have work today. In 2 hours, I report in for an engineering shift. I'll be in the portside factory bay performing maintenance, and if I run out of things to fix, clean, or examine, I'm to give the electrical systems in that area a once-over in a search for damaged wiring or loose connectors. My day is very full. So you start at 10 and are back at 2. That's perfect. I'll swing around to pick you up right after. 6, Reggie remarks. Pardon? Shireen asks. My shift is 8 hours long, not 4, Reggie remarks, and both women give each other an odd look. But there's only one of you. How do you switch out when you get tired? Shireen asks from several mouths at once. I don't. Not unless there's a lot of breakdowns and a huge mess waiting for me. It's mostly monotonous and dull. The first hour is just listening to the workers there tell me how the machines were operating in the last week. If nothing major comes up, I go from area to area looking at all the readouts and gauges and then do a quick visual inspection. Nothing shows up and I have them run some things off the production line and observe it every step of the way. Nothing happens and I go through some basic cleaning cycles, then by that point I should have 3 hours left to just look around for anything possibly wrong in the surrounding ship systems. And if something does happen? Misty asks, and Reggie can't help but smile. It's nice, really nice that they're this worried for him. That depends entirely on what happened, but generally we shut off the power, clean the area around the damaged part, and then replace the damaged component. That's if it's damage. If it's just misalignments or something like that, we just deal with it. Generally, a quick tune-up and cleaning is enough to solve most problems. Reggie explains as he starts to grow a little crowded in with the hug. It's been going on for minutes at this point, and though it feels and smells good, it's still very, very warm. It only takes a little squirming for the 2 to 7 women to let go. Whichever Shireen counts for, she was clearly taking her lead from Misty, who's a very attentive woman. "I'll get breakfast started. I'm ravenous, and I'm sure you both are as well," Shireen says as her main body stalks into the room and she has it carefully maneuver around them to make her way into the kitchen. "I need to dress myself and give my carapace a good scrub. Play nice while I'm dressing." Misty bids them as she saunters back to whence she came. There's a flurry of sounds from the kitchen and Reggie stands up and walks into the kitchen. He contemplates saying something, but Shireen has proven jumpy at times and he's right behind the large main body with its enormous finned tail. Seeing as how being swatted like a literal fly isn't on his list of things to do today, he carefully walks around and stands out of the way, but in sight of her leftmost bodies. She doesn't notice him. He coughs slightly and there's an EEP and a thump as the six-headed woman reveals just how badly she gets tunnel vision and that Reggie was wise not the bee behind her as the tail hits the wall. "I'd have figured you'd have seen or heard or hell even smelt me with all the sensory organs you've got." Reggie notes, and most of Shireen buries her embarrassment by working faster to make the meal, and the one closest to Reggie crosses her arms in an angry huff. She's still 5/6 embarrassed, but 1/6 angry is still a problem. "Sorry, I just wanted to ask a question," he says, and she clearly, obviously tries to stay angry, but it falls apart quickly, and she nods. "What is it? Is something wrong?" "I was just curious about the reaction to my workday. 8 hours isn't very long. I've pulled overtime at 12 hours before, and even went for a redye burn of 16 a few times, helping put the Dauntless together. Why is... Reggie begins explaining, and all movement just stops as all of Shireen turns to stare at him. The leftmost body he's nearest to is staring with her jaw hanging loose. He reaches out and gently pushes it up with a finger. "A 16-hour workday," she demands in shock. The redye shift is a beast. As bad as that, though, is the doctors can and regularly do run double redyes, 32-hour shifts. It gets better. After the huge hack that compromised the Dauntless, the computer technicians and intelligence division ran quadruple redyes, 74-hour shifts on and off for 2 weeks before finally relaxing. "How?" Shireen demands in shock. "Power naps at your workstation. Sleep in your uniform and snack while you go to keep moving. If there's a job to do, you do it even if it feels like it's going to kill you, otherwise it actually might. That's the reality of working on an experimental prototype spaceship," Reggie explains before leaning over to look over at the stove. "Is that supposed to be smoking?" "Oh, shit!" Six Shireen states, and thankfully they don't tie themselves into a knot trying to save the meal from burning. Something smells a little overdone. "Is something the matter, Shireen, dear?" Misty asks, walking in wearing a simple but well-stated white gown with purple accents. I distracted her at a bad moment, apparently. "The fault is mine," Reggie says. "Oh? And what was so shocking?" Misty asks. "He's being run like a slave on that awful ship," Shireen huffs. "I am not. I get paid a lot of money for every aspect of my job, from repair to patrol, from combat to guard duty, and much more. Sure, there are some shit shifts, but that's life," Reggie protests. 74 hours on unending labor is horrible," Shireen protests. "Those are emergencies only." As in, we're not sure we're going to live through this if we don't buckle down and work our asses off to stay alive, Reggie counters, and Misty looks from him to her and grins. "So you're an endurance predator, are you?" Misty asks, and Reggie nods. "Yeah, oldest form of hunting humans have. Spook something into running and track it down over the next few hours. Just keep scaring it, and eventually it can't even lift its head as you cut its neck. Works best if you can run it in a circle so you don't have far to carry the body back. Which means, as a race, you're incredibly dedicated to wearing down your opponents. BMOs tend to be hard-working and long at the post, but that generally means a 6-hour shift, not an 8-hour one with possible extensions." Misty considers. "Though that does explain last night. You kept going after the first few attempts and learned as you went on and on. So, how long is an average work shift the galaxy over?" Reggie asks. 4 standard hours for 3 days, then 3 off, Misty remarks. "How do you get anything done?" Reggie demands in shock. "By working really, really hard for those 4 hours. You are trying to wear your problems down. We are trying to slam into them and destroy them as swiftly as possible. You jog to the goal, we sprint," Misty replies, and Reggie goes to answer before pausing and thinking. "Yeah, I suppose that would work. Go super hard for 4 hours and you can easily get 2 or 3 times the workload in," Reggie considers. "Oh, so you're not working as hard for those silly lengths of time. That makes a lot more sense." Shireen remarks, and Reggie considers. There's no real way of knowing if the aliens are actually working harder at all. After all, with pursuit predation, it may take you longer to get to where the prey went, but the prey is already half dead by the time you catch it, and you're still strong enough to carry it home. It's done, but you're only at the halfway mark. Maybe, he begins, then trails off. Maybe we should visit each other's work to make sure. Put your fears to rest and such, and we can make a proper judgment. Herbert's 100 Harem. So you'll be busy most of the day? Borizi asks him, and Herbert has to nod. I'm afraid so. There's some suspected foul play in an upcoming negotiation, and some low-profile bodyguards are needed. I'll be on the 3-person team, all of us disguised and all of us armed, Herbert explains as the rest of his wives listen in. I'm sorry, but the job is very important. What would happen if you were to take the day off instead? They might be a soldier down at a crucial moment. That can cost lives, Herbert remarks. What's your disguise going to be? Thara asks, and Herbert grins. Why don't I show all of you? Under it, I'll have armor and weapons hidden, but mostly it's there to convince people I'm not worth shooting out. He assures them, and there's a round of cheerful agreement. All right, wait here. I'll be back in a couple minutes. The outfit isn't hard. It's a uniform too big for him and fastidiously buckled and zipped up. Boots that fit but are designed to look too big. Hat that hides almost everything about his head due to being too big. The coat buckled at the waist to make him look even more childish. The rolled-up sleeves and the touch of Kutha to shift his looks. Private Stream reporting for duty, he announces to his wives with a salute, and there's a stunned silence. Then a massive tide of chitinous supermodels and claw-faced Amazonian huntresses descends upon him with cries of sheer delight. A blast of smoke engulfs his positions, and they grab nothing. Now, I need the uniform in one piece, not torn off me in excitement, he says in his normal, deeper tone of voice from the opposite side of the room. But you're so cute. That's the point. Cute inspires ideas of protection and parental instincts, meaning it's not where you expect deadly opposition to come from. We have got to get you some outfits to wear. This is too precious. You're like our age, but you look barely half that. That's the idea. The boots are disguised to make it look like I'm wearing lifts and trying to be more mature than I am. Herbert begins before pitching his voice up in the earnest tones of Private Stream. Because I am Private Stream and I'm here to prove myself. Age is just a number I can be responsible too. The deliberate flub of his pronunciation gets a series of coos and laughter to erupt from the crowd. Okay, there's no way you're in this alone. Who's the rest of the team? Now, while I can tell you some things, I can't tell you everything. But I'm allowed to say that my posting is not a solo run. Don't worry, I've got amazingly competent backup. Hell, most of my job is just not screwing up how well they do. Herbert lies. He knows his job. It's being a soldier with a touch of his recently learned acting chops, which tied in nicely with his stealth and recon training. You're not sure you can do it? I'm not sure Private Stream can do it. He's a nervous but earnest kid who's in way over his head. Pushed fast and hard and learned all the rules, but the first casualty of battle is always the plan, so he might get a bit overwhelmed. Herbert remarks with a grin. No! Smaller smile like you're trying to be serious but can't help it. It's more adorable, someone prompts, and he forces his face into a failing serious mode, and the whole crowd cheers. So, have I got it down? Or have I got it down? I'll take option 3, you got it down, Borizi remarks, and Herbert chuckles. All right, but if you girls think this has potential, then draw up a list of outfits. So long as we don't get too silly, I'm willing to play. He offers, and there's a flurry of talking. Anyways, my dears, I do have to go, his piece said, and with a blown kiss to the crowd, Herbert turns around and walks out. He's got to get moving, and thankfully there's a ride already waiting for him. Billy? Billy! There you are! Did you get lost, Billy? What happened? General Kronos greets him as he arrives at the public spire. Private Stream simply sighs before snapping to attention. His eyes dart very quickly to the 2 targets of today's operation, an employee of one of the Umbral organization's false fronts and a financier. Private William Stream reporting for duty, sir, he announces with a salute that drips earnestness. Good. Now, Billy, I need your help with something. Sir? Private Stream asks. Where's the other one? That new recruit girl with the great gams? Isn't she some kind of alien? General Kronos asks, unaware that Staff Sergeant Yoko is just behind him and very unamused by the comedy routine. She is, sir. However, thanks to language drift, she has a very human-sounding name of Ina Yoko. She's a native to planet Morich and moved to Centris some 2 years past. When the call went out for local talent, she answered and was one of the few which passed a background check to our satisfaction. Private Stream reports. Good work, Billy. Now, Billy, do you have that newfangled thing they swear they put my calendar in? General Kronos asks. No, sir. Staff Sergeant Yoko has it, sir, Private Stream says, and General Kronos pauses. Staff Sergeant? Wait. You're just a private, right, Billy? Yes, sir. But you've been with us longer. Yes, sir. You've got more training. I do, sir. You're more trusted than her. I'd like to think so, sir. So why does she outrank you? You should outrank her! General Kronos finishes and Private Stream sighs. I'm at the age of majority, sir. Private Stream is not. Staff Sergeant Yoko says from behind the feeble-seeming old man who starts and shuffles forward with a strained yelp of surprise. Thank you, Sergeant Yoko, Private Stream says as General Kronos regains his composure. Why would you do such a thing? You should know better than to scare an old man like that. I ought to bust you down to specialist. Then maybe Stream would be able to teach you some manners. Sir, specialist still outranks private, sir. Oh, right. It does. There's no lower rank than private, is there? Not on the command structure, sir, Sergeant Yoko states. Oh! General Kronos seems to with before drawing himself up. Anyways, we're here today to test the mettle of some of the crazies. These aliens are all kinds of odd. Some of them have rocks in their hair. Rocks! Sir, I am one of these aliens, Sergeant Yoko mutters. Oh, maybe we should sit down and compare notes? I seem to have forgotten something, General Kronos says before beginning a hurried hobble towards a nearby establishment with numerous chairs and tables just outside it. It's already somewhat full with a few businesswomen speaking to each other. The spot where the general leads them is just to the left of a pair of particular businesswomen. They only spare the odd trinity a few glances before getting back to their debate and informal business deal. While many meetings are held over communicator or in boardrooms, there's a culture of meeting in public. As they talk, General Kronos makes some odd short hands to his schedule. And if either woman could read Latin or bothered to pay attention to the old man, they'd notice he was paying attention to them. Look, Brienne, can I call you Brienne? One of the businesswomen asks. She's a BMH with a long, fuzzy tail and somewhat prominent teeth. The ratio is standard at 1100 and the number is 2. The Lyrak are apparently one of the oldest races in the galaxy, as Sergeant Yoko is in the process of both learning and cataloging. You've been calling me Brienne for the last half hour. Thank you, Brienne. You see, the thing is, you don't know how to negotiate. Look, I get it, haha. Executive Solutions has a solution for everything. It's in your branding. But you've not given me or my company any real reason to issue you replacements for the equipment you lost. Bellern Financing may be open about who we work with, but once the sheen is worn off, you go from being like the boy on that table there to the old man. Or in other words, your company is old news. Old news? Do you have any idea who Executive Solutions works for? Do you have any idea just how dangerous the backers behind it are? Brienne demands. Do you really think you can afford to make an enemy of us, Genivad? It's a private military contractor. I assume the reach is as long as laser fire. But it's not lasers I'm concerned about. It's rocket launchers. A rocket launcher. Your idiot organization somehow managed to lose an endless barrage and have it turned against you. How much do you... Brienne begins to ask, and Jen just glares at her. Enough. I know that your pathetic little catspaw for whoever your real master is tried to go against a target so soft they were doing laundry. They left with massive casualties, a huge amount of property damage, and your most expensive and powerful piece of hardware missing, Jen remarks. You and your company have lost your edge. The teeth are missing, and from what I've heard, they've even been used against you. If you want any more investment from Bellern Financing, then you've got to convince us that you're more profitable than ejecting our coin into the nearest star. That's unfair, Brienne protests. That's business, Brienne. It's just business, Jen remarks, standing up from the table. You and your girls are old news, and frankly, I'm glad of it. Business may be business, but the form you supply has a tendency to make enemies. Sit down before you hurt yourself, Brienne orders. No, our business is concluded, both here and between our companies. A military organization that either loses to untrained civilians or can't tell when they're hitting a military target is a bad investment, as is a negotiator that resorts to veiled threats when things don't go her way. Jen sniffs, and there's the distinct crackling sound and ozone smell of a laser firing. It's not loud, but it stands out like a flare. Billy! Billy, we're under attack! Get me my bazooka, Billy! It's killing time! General Kronos howls out, and Private Stream moves to calm him. Sir? Sir, it's all right, we're not under attack, Private Stream protests. Don't you sir me? I know when we're under attack. That might not have been a gunshot, but that was an attack, General Kronos remarks. Sir, you're... He's right, that was a laser crackle. It makes the snapping and popping noise when it flash boils tiny bits of humidity in the air, Sergeant Yoko says as she pulls out a firearm. At this, Private Stream withdraws a rifle from within his coat and starts looking around. Both of you get down. If someone's shooting off lasers, this could be dangerous, he says quickly, rushing up to Brienne and Jen and tugging at them both to crouch low, slipping tiny devices on both women as he does so. This is absurd. Who are you people? Brienne demands. How ignorant are you? They're clearly off the Dauntless, although one's clearly a Tret rather than that new race. What are you doing here? Jen asks suspiciously, and Sergeant Yoko sighs. I'm on babysitting duty is what? The youngest member of the crew and the oldest. One's just left diapers and the other's just gotten back into them, Sergeant Yoko says with pure acid dripping from her tone. Hey, I'm not that young, Private Stream protests. And if I were to give you a big wet kiss? Sergeant Yoko asks, puckering out her lips. Ew! Private Stream recoils in horror. You're that young kiddo, Brienne remarks as she holds down a single button on the outside of her custom communicator through her pocket. Then in response, an armed airship comes up from the next level down on the spire. Billy! General Kronos exclaims in shock, and Private Stream blurs into action. Now all of you are going to be coming with me, or... Brienne's ultimatum is cut short when a powerful explosion buckles the left engine, and the airship quickly begins losing altitude, crashing onto the level they were all on. Reload! General Kronos orders, passing the spent rocket launcher to Private Stream, who dutifully slips another piece of ammunition into position. The ancient war general then takes aim again. The old 1-2 punch! His second shot shatters the other half of the engine system, and he passes down the launcher for another reload. Billy! Secure the prisoners! We don't know which did it, but we're going to ask them both a few things. Sir, yes, sir! Private Stream barks out as he hands back the once more refilled rocket launcher and turns his weapon to both Jen and Brienne. Both of you get down on your knees with your hands on your heads! Stream duck! Sergeant Yoko shouts, and the boy soldier hits the ground and narrowly dodges a laser beam. There's a series of bangs as the sergeant returns fire and then a scream as the sniper's hit by one of the bullets. Where's our backup? General Kronos demands. ETA 15 seconds, Sergeant Yoko states, and receives a nod even as Private Stream rises again with his rifle trained on both women. Visual on the evac. I know that shoddy polish work anywhere, General Kronos exclaims. Billy, you didn't finish your work. Sir, there are hundreds of vehicles that need cleaning at any one time. I can't do all that in a single afternoon. I don't care for excuses. I care for results. General Kronos barks out so hard that false teeth fly out of his mouth. Oh! Oh no, my teeth are gone, and I didn't even get to punch someone. Jen and Brienne look at each other in confusion before nodding. The table is grabbed and thrown at Private Stream, and even before it hits him, they're both up and running hard. Hey, wait! I'll shoot you! I swear I will! Private Stream calls after them, but the gun never goes off. Think they bought it? Harriet asks. Bought it? They'll swear by it. Herbert answers with a grin. Stay in character, General Kronos wheezes.